Greetings, people of the world! Matthew back with you here in Novora Autism for the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. It is Year 2, Day 58 for EDSS and the Realm Reborn. And today, we go into the lair of Iceheart, Snowcloak, where myself and 3 others, including my lovely Sakura, will be taking on this challenge. This is probably one of the more popular dungeons to have been recently introduced, because it's very straightforward. There are some mechanics involved, but for the most part, it's very straightforward and very fun. And the music, despite the fact that we're going to be beating up a whole bunch of enemies, is actually quite enjoyable and relaxing. So this is another one of those dungeons where it's not all that uncommon for the tank to pull every monster that he sees. Yeah, this is another one of those styles of dungeon, but if you have the right people, you can, and stay composed, you can make short order of this place. Here we go. I just need to make sure we were staining on the right opponent. And also hope that he doesn't keep getting pulled away by the tank. That also doesn't help. So yeah, a lot of the enemies that you'll see here are more or less palette swaps of stuff that we have seen before. Stuff like the Spriggans, the Goobus, the Ibexes, those are actually new. Those are unique to this place. So don't show up anywhere else other than here at Snowcloak. I'm gonna just get you out of the way before I get sneezed on by the Goobu. And away we go again. Yeah, I almost don't want to talk all that much on this particular place, because as I said before, the music is just so beautiful, even though we're just creating a whole lot of shedding of blood. Right, one more enemy to defeat, and the Spriggan is down, and away we go. So yeah, well, I'm actually getting close. After I clear this someplace, what's going to happen is that I'm going to be very close to achieving a very important milestone for Edie. And that is that I will have accumulated enough Allegan Tomestones of Soldiery. You've seen them mentioned at the start of most places because this is Edie's first time coming through all these dungeons. You'll be very close to a point where he will have 1,300 Allegan Tomestones of Soldiery. That will be enough to get him a brand new lance. This is because of the fact that, if you remember back to our video a few days ago in Citrus Tower, I was fortunate enough to get Edie an unidentified Allegan Tomestone. That is going to get him a level 100 lance that is available for purchase in Mordona. It can then be further enhanced with something known as Sands of Time, which we also obtained in said video in Citrus Tower. So, he's up, I think it's about 950 currently. Once we clear this, because we get the bonus of 70 Allegan Tomestones, plus another 70 for just doing this place to begin with, then we have to take on another challenge next that also results in Allegan Tomestone bonus being obtained. That'll be that much closer to getting to 1,300 Allegan Tomestones of Soldiery. So yeah, here we even have to fight polar bears. Yeah, considering the wild, cold landscape that is Snowcloak, perhaps this should not come as much of a surprise as to what we're fighting. I mean, let's face this, they're going to be ferocious around here. They're going to be feral because, of course, they've probably all been trained and sent after us by Iceheart and her minions. But, for the most part, yeah, and this bear actually has a key in its possession. I don't know if it when you kill it, it just poops it out or something. Because that would seem like the most logical thing. Yeah, and there are even ice bombs here. Yeah, ice bombs, just like any other bombs, you want to quickly dispose of them as fast as you can. Because they are your greatest concern to your party. Because they have the AoE that can hurt you the most. So, and blows up just as we finish it off. But But yeah, as you can see, as far as HP is concerned, we've never really been threatened that much so far. This has been very straightforward and not all that difficult. Alright, one more enemy to defeat here, and then once we have defeated this final Snowcloak wolf, this wall of snow that you see behind me will collapse and lead us to our first mini-boss, Wandil. Or Wandel, or whatever. Sakura? Yeah. Come, my sweets. We must continue on. Alright, it's all ready to go. So the trick with Wandel is to keep him within the center of the field of battle, because over time, the perimeter of the field will get iced over, and it'll actually cause status afflictions to be issued against you if you touch them. Yeah, it says right there, kill ads. That's what the tank is encouraging us to do, and that's exactly what we have to do. When a frost bomb enters the field, it must be destroyed. If it's not destroyed in time before it explodes, it will cause a stacking debuff against your party. In fact, you can actually see that stacking debuff again above my name. Next to my name there, the blue icon there, and the one that also affected Sakura. If we get 4 of those stacks, just like we got at Sunken Temple Card, where you get run over 4 times by mummies at the final boss, you'll get a permanent stack that will affect you for a certain period of time. Now, as you can see, not everyone is affected by it, and who it affects is random. It used to be that it affected everyone, and that everyone will have to suffer as a result of it. But I guess a number of months ago, they made it so that it wasn't as effective, and that who it affected was random. Yeah, because in the early days of Snowcloak, you could pretty much be assured that you would be getting what just happened to Sakura at least once, which is the deep freeze. So now we have that to worry about. Look out! And continue on. Now we should be seeing more ads. He usually sends out one final wave of frost bombs, which will be these 2 right here. So basically, do everything we can to just grin and bear it. Alright. Yeah, hypothermal combustion. If that hits, that'll really set you back. Thankfully, we killed it off in time. So now let's use my limit break and get closer to finishing it off. Ooh, I have what he had left. At this point, I think we're good just burning him down now. There he goes. And Wandel is defeated. So that's our first mini-boss down. We will play for these items, of course. And I got the tassets. So that's stuff I can trade in for later. I'll actually show later on where you can trade them. So into our second part here at Snowcloak. And as you can see, we're opening up with a trio of Gubiu. So, you gotta make sure that your tank doesn't get sneezed on too much. Because yeah, these things have a bad flu. These things have a very bad flu. And all the while we get to enjoy the very nice, tranquil music. Which, if you were to play this music, like at Christmas time or something like that, or even use it as a baby's lullaby, I'm sure that the baby would just fall asleep very quickly. Alright, so now here's where it gets interesting. We see the blowing wind going across. That will actually debuff you if you're standing in it. The best thing you want to do is take the enemies that you see and pull them straight through. Now what this is going to do is, of course, it's going to bring more enemies out onto the field. And with all these ice sprites, you're going to be in a bit of a very dangerous spot if you're the tank. So you really have to be careful here that you don't end up getting killed, because it's not all that uncommon for a tank to come in here and hope that they can be saved by their healer, but because they get so overwhelmed by the enemies you see here, it is not uncommon for them to not survive. Now you will, thankfully in this situation we have a tank joining us that is very overpowered. But more often than not, you will see tanks being a little too confident, a little too cocksure, and they get overwhelmed by these ice sprites. So if you're the tank, probably a good rule of thumb, if you don't have the insane HP count that Cuban Lynx does, is to pull that first set of ice sprites that we saw and pull them back towards where we were fighting the Gugyus. Then come through here and fight the second set of ice sprites and the Battle Lord. It's just a good rule of thumb to take with you, because you can also bring in this guy, Grimthor, who is nothing less than a nuisance. Alright, so yeah, good rule of thumb is being applied here. Only pull just a few enemies because they can hurt you quite a bit. But yeah, the Grimthor is the greatest threat here in this particular set of enemies. Just make sure that it's a good idea you kill him off first. So it won't be much longer until Grimthor is defeated. Now we can concentrate on the ice sprites. There we go. A nice Dragonfire dive, courtesy of yours truly. And Spine Shatter. So yeah, I'm actually recording this after holding a church function for our young people. Every year, the volunteer organization that I'm involved with hosts a appreciation party for young people who do service in church. And we give them a party at the local bowling alley with pizza as well. And they all enjoyed themselves. In fact, this year we actually had more people than we were anticipating, and we actually maxed out the number of people we could have on a lane. And so because there actually were more people than we were expecting, because each lane gets their own pizza, well, what happened was that we actually had a situation where not everyone could have 2 slices of pizza, because the pizza that gets ordered for these parties at our local bowling alley comes from an actual pizzeria. It's not actually made in the bowling alley itself. It's actually purchased from an actual pizzeria. And so our largest pizza has 12 slices on it. So yeah, not everyone could get 2 slices of pizza, which is what we typically do for them. But nonetheless, they really enjoyed themselves tonight, and with so many people, I mean, how could you not have an opportunity to really enjoy the companionship, the friendship, and also the knowledge and the satisfaction that you're a positive role model for your peers. I mean, what more could you ask for? So, moving on, yeah, he's saying kill the big demon thing, leave the Spriggans. So yeah, the Yeti here is probably one of the more unique mini-bosses you will ever come across in Final Fantasy XIV or Realm Reborn, because you can damage him with your normal weapons, but it will just take a long time to do. You actually have to come up with a better method, and it comes in the form of the Spriggan Ice Cutters. You have to put them into the range of the Yeti's frozen mist. Doing so turns them into snowballs. This is important because you actually need these snowballs. I'll explain why as we go along. And if they get targeted by the Yeti with the same frozen mist, as you may have noticed, it gets bigger. But now here's the challenge. The Frostbound here that comes onto the field. You have to destroy the Frostbound before it breaks it hits any of the snowballs. Any damage taken against the snowball will instantly destroy it. And you, as I said before, you need these snowballs to turn the tide in your favor against the Yeti. Right, he's down. Now we can focus on the Yeti. Now watch the snowball on the right get bigger. It does max out. Now, when he uses northerlies, target the snowball, hit it right at the Yeti, and it'll actually take off quite a large amount of its health. As you can see, we've already hit it with 2 large snowballs, and it's down to half health. So do your best to keep the Sprig and Ice Cutters concentrated within the field of battle, in the middle of the field of battle, and have the Yeti out towards the perimeter so he can use his Frozen Mist to cover as much of the field as he can to affect as many of the Frozen Ice Brigands as he possibly can. And then whenever a Frostbound comes around, stop him at all costs. It's not devastating if he destroys 1 or 2 snowballs, but if he destroys all the snowballs, then that's definitely going to set you back. Like right here, I think he's going to score against those 2 snowballs, and he did. They were just in the range of his AoE to prevent them from being used. Alright, so now back to the Yeti. Oh, yeah, that Frozen Mist is pointed the wrong way. Alright, there's the northerlies again. We don't actually have any snowballs because the Frostbound took them away, which means we're going to have to take the full brunt of this attack. Yeah, there wasn't really much we could do about that one. I mean, you can only do so much to try and control where the Frostbound goes. It's not easy. Plus, on top of that, having to constantly run away from the attack there of the Frozen Mist, because it will freeze you for a certain period of time. So you also have to take that into consideration when you're doing this boss duel. It is not easy, by any stretch. But if you control where the Yeti goes, and where he shoots, and if you can keep the Frostbound away long enough, you'll be just fine. Hey, I got the helmet, alright. So I have 2 antique pieces of armor now. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright, on to the third part of Snowbound. Now don't worry about attacking the glacier sprites here. There's no point for you to do so because eventually, and it doesn't take them long to do so, they will start imploding. So yeah, don't even bother attacking the glacier sprites, it's not worth your trouble. All you need to worry about is taking care of the enemies here. We're now in an encapsulated area where we have to fight our way out against 3 waves of enemies, starting with Rimthurs and this set of Ice Bombs. They all have to be dealt with together before you move on. They all possess the ability to detonate, but just because they detonate doesn't mean that they'll explode. You have to completely destroy them in order to eliminate them from the field of battle. And so far we're doing a pretty good job of beating these guys out. And there we go. I just wanted to wait before we did anything silly. Alright. Change over. Hit this Ice Bomb now. And the Rimthrows themselves are getting damaged very nicely too. And down we go. That just leaves the Rimthrowers. So let's start sticking the lance right up their butts. And we've been stunned that one. I'll take it. Very much so. And down. Now this guy. So once we get rid of this guy, we can move on to the second wave of enemies here in this little enclosed area. Alright, Rimthurs is defeated. Time for our next set of opponents. A Sprig and Tumbler on the left, and a Hybrid Gator on the right. Now the greater threat here is the Gator because it can hit you for pretty good damage with its AoE. You may have noticed also that a giant stalactite was introduced onto the field. A giant frozen stalactite. And as we saw, it also possessed an AoE. After it hits the ground, that stalactite will explode, and anyone caught within the AoE will take good damage. So be careful of that. And as you can see, we also now have more Spriggans out on the field. We gotta deal with them too. But this comes after you defeat the Gator. Naturally. And so let's keep it going. So far we're doing a pretty good job on this second wave. And in the air, splat. There goes one Spriggan Tumbler. Now for his friends. So just taking the opportunity to do, yeah. The only thing that's breaking up the serenity of this music is, of course, us shouting battle grunts and stuff like that. Time now for the third and final round. There's our opponent right there, the Snowcloak. So yeah, he's the only thing you have to worry about in this particular fight. So don't worry about anything else, just make sure that you do what you have to do. And in the air. And so far so good. Oh, look out. There we go. Ooh, look out. Yeah, stand clear, please. Alright, so from this point forward, not much to worry about here. Everything you see is pretty straightforward. Into the air, go down on them. And just keep stabbing away. Yes. Alright, now if you remember back to the hard mode of Stone Vigil, these people, the Harriers, these guys could actually turn into dragons themselves if their Dragon's Blood ability was allowed to cast fully. Thankfully it doesn't do so here, but there is another one to worry about. Right here at the final barrier, right here at the final hurdle. So let's prevent his cast. Okay. And into the air, splat. Did we stop him in time? Yes, we did. Oh, just in time. Ooh, we got away with one there. Yeah, if he completed the cast, he would have turned into one of the Dove Avises and would have been given a full health refill. Obviously not the thing you want to happen when you're trying to eliminate your opponents as fast as you possibly can. And slap. And away we go again. So, not much further now to get to the end of this. And that last Avis drops a Finger of the Apostate. We don't know what exactly this finger looks like, but I am worried about that. Alright, so time for us to encounter our boss. And this boss actually has a connection to our particular free company. Yeah, because our particular free company is called the Wolves of Fenrir. And, if you once you know it, we actually have to fight a boss known as Fenrir. The giant ice hound is our final boss here at Snowcloak. So yeah, he says, hide behind the spire that sticks around from the second set. Any other than that, just pound on him, stay out of his AoEs. Yeah, Fenrir has a very predictable pattern on how he operates. So just make sure that you can stay composed and stay on track and you'll be fine. So, go right up into the middle of the field to engage him. And now we'll start jumping up and down. Jumping up and down. Alright. Limit break charge once. We'll see if it gets charged again. But yeah, eventually what we're going to see is can do that, Fenrir will do that. He'll target 3 random spots on the field and drop stalactites on them. So 2 of them you have to avoid their AoE because you can get damage from those. The third one is on delay though. It does not implode yet. And unlike the other 2 stalactites, it doesn't use a line AoE, it just uses a circular AoE, like the stalactites that we saw earlier on here in the 3rd round of this place. So, on the 2nd round, watch where the 3 spires land, and watch which one does not do an AoE. Once you discover which one does not do an AoE, run behind that stalactite and get out of Fenrir's view because he uses Lunar Cry. That automatically targets the tank or anyone else who did not get out of the way of the attack from the Lunar Cry. If you were in range of the Lunar Cry, if Fenrir saw you with it, you would be frozen and he would come down on you with a very, very devastating attack. And if you were standing too close to the stalactites, that attack, because of the circular AoE, would more than likely kill you. But other than that, this is pretty straightforward to fight, so just make sure you need to make sure where you need to go in order to ensure your survival. Alright, standing by for where we have to hide next. Okay, it's gonna be to the right. So yeah, you have a sufficient amount of time in order to save yourself from Lunar Cry. And so you'll target the tank. And away we go again. And knock to the air. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Shouldn't you be cheering for me, Sakura? I mean, I know we named our FC after this guy, but are you really sure we should be cheering for him? So just putting that out there. Alright, can we use the double limit break in time? Is that an option? Well, I guess we're gonna have to let it run out. Alright, so where are they going? One there, which means we come over here. Oh, we're in trouble. Yeah, Sakura's gonna get left out, which means Fenrir will attack her. Don't worry, I'll finish this, Sakura. Don't you worry. There it is! We win! Victory is ours against Fenrir, and Snowcloak is cleared. And there we go. That was actually, I mentioned the significant milestone before, that was also a significant milestone for another reason. By clearing Snowcloak, we have now cleared all of the level 50 dungeons that are made available to you up to and including patch 2.4. I'll explain why this is important after we complete this. Unfortunately, I cannot claim the necklace here. So, we will go outside to complete the challenge. Because we have to, of course. So, once we get outside, well, actually we're going to stay inside for this scene.
The tales do not do you justice, warrior of light.
Yeah, who was that? Yeah, guess who's been following us?
I know who you are, and you know who I am.
Oh, I do. That would be Iceheart.
I was given the name Izel, but I earned the name Iceheart.
And she's actually bold enough to approach me.
This endless cycle of hatred, of bloodshed, of sorrow. You would see it continue, O noble warrior of light.
If that's what it takes.
I would not. I will not. I will bring an end to this war between dragon and man, no matter the cost. In time, you will come to understand that what we do for the greater good.
Well,
For Eorzea, for Hydaelyn.
You're actually casting your lot with Hydaelyn? Yeah, like, that's confusing. Like, why are you casting your lot with Hydaelyn when you're our enemy? That makes no sense. Yeah, if that blue crystal looks familiar, we've actually come across quite a few of those in the need to take on various hard-level primal duels. So, let's go over to Alpha Node to complete the Path of the Righteous. That took longer than expected. What news, ED? Well, here's how it went down. So Iceheart is but a pseudonym, not that it matters. That she managed to escape is regrettable, but from your description of that beast you did well to come as close as you did. In any case, now that you have cleared a path, the Temple Knights can begin to survey the tunnels in earnest. Mayhap they will even find a route past the ice wall. Wouldn't that do wonders for their fight against the heretics? The Crystal Braves will certainly share the credit for it too. 'Twill be praised, Didi. We may yet turn the situation to our advantage. Assuming we stop Iceheart before she summons Shiva, of course. Needless to say, our fellow Scions have not been idle. Minfilia and Urianger have been busy perusing the archives of House Fortin, gathering what information they can on Shiva. Which reminds me, if you were intending to trudge back to Camp Dragonhead to report on the day's events, don't. The Antecedent should be here any minute. I can only assume some people enjoyed subjecting themselves to this cold. And so with that, our journey through Snowcloak is completed, and 2,908 gil is ours. So, why I mentioned that the clearing of Snowcloak was so important for us is because the milestone now allows Edie access to what's known as the high-level duty roulette. This allows me to use Edie to clear all these level 50 dungeons, up to and including Wanderer's Palace. This does not include Castra Meridianum and the Praetorium. That's for the main scenario duty roulette. But, now that we have the high-level roulette unlocked, that means we can not only gain more elegant tomestones of soldiery and much quicker, but we can also gain the higher-level versions of the tomestones, known as elegant tomestones of poetics. And that I actually need to start getting even better gear for our good man Edie. But we still have work to do, and next time we will do just that. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV, Our Realm Reborn. And when I join you again, we will see what Alpha Node wants us to do next as we look to stop Iceheart from summoning the primal Shiva. Yeah, I was about to say the prival Shiva. But whatever. So, until next time everyone, this is Matthew at Navora Autism, saying take care, and I'll see you soon.